The bummer of Coumadin. Although technically retrievable, I have decided to leave the filter in place. The nightmare of trying to get back into my chest to repair a tear in the cava provides immediate dissuasion. Now I did turn the corner, and so did the food cart. The barium swallow confirmed no leak, and like a kitten on ecstasy, I lapped my first solid food, cream of wheat. On POD 21, I went home, happy, cautious, yet still remarkably short of breath. My PO intake advanced morsel by careful morsel, my gut and I slowly coming to speak to each other again after our forced estrangement. Although my gut and my brain have become so entangled over the years that it is often impossible to know who is initiating the conversation. The J-Tubes days were joyfully numbered, and Mac pulled it 3 weeks later. I pulled up my shirt for Martine. He stared for a few seconds. Then he broke into tears, hugged me, and said, "Papi, you're all better." Gabby and I sent the pump back and donated 3 cases of unused cans to a local nursing home. The beloved Pole saw a brief service as a robot for the boys before we tossed it on the trash pile. I returned to the pool after 5 months of natatory prohibition. My first lap was a gasping, painful, pathetic, but hallelujah performance by the former champion. My triathlon days are long past, and well so. Any athletic event would pale in comparison to the race I have won. Now 25 pounds lighter and laughably shriveled, we set off on our long overdue trip to Argentina and our magical home in Buenos Aires, where I soaked up the salubrious summer sun of the southern hemisphere. My barren palate came alive with the salivating taste of Buenos Aires' best parrilla right around the corner, the best pizza right across the street, and the world's best ice cream delivered to your door in dry ice by a platoon of young men on motorbikes. It was a very, very, very good Christmas. Throughout most of this tour de force, I was much too ill to think seriously about the future. Nature wisely marshaled all of my troops to the present urgency of survival and healing. Only now am I beginning to calculate the physical and emotional aftermath. Illness of this grandeur must inspire deep reflection. Otherwise, we forfeit the power of extraordinary experience to forge extraordinary person. Adversity of this scale is an unsolicited gift, but a gift nonetheless. At one's own peril does one decline to wrestle with the demons that inevitably flit forth from their dark caves. But with firm and respectful resolve, they will mostly slink back to their hiding. In counterpoint, there are angels also fluttering down from their high perches, if we choose to see them. The meaning of all this is largely of our own reading and the message of our own writing, if we are willing to do the very difficult reading and writing. No reflection required, however, to avow that my family holds court at the center of my universe. Beyond center court, I probably have a bit more surgical practice left in my bones, and my pen is as restless as ever. The wise men remind us how fragile life is and how robust. With all due respect to the Fragilians, I am a committed robustian. In the long run, our unexpected detours have a way of making us stronger runners and the road ahead more solidly paved, even if the details of the destination remain forever hidden from us. God is my witness. Beyond the bare facts of anatomy, pathology, and physiology, and beyond the stars of fate, whose eternal twinkling I can only contemplate in awe, surviving a serious illness is a matter of details and indignities, and the people who share them with you. The glue of wry humor keeps them from disintegrating into despair. In the indignities department, I shall share only a couple of examples by way of illumination from the bed's eye view. And speaking of beds, those found in hospitals are, for all their sophistication, designed for patient safety, not patient comfort. No matter how you are positioned, you immediately begin the inexorable descent into the gully, that Dead Sea lowest point on the topographical map of the elaborately articulated hair-stuffed mattress. As a post-op patient in pain, you cannot extricate yourself from the gully. You are compressed like a mozzarella ball, unable even to set the urinal at a non-spilling angle. It is quite a helpless and claustrophobic feeling at 3 a.m. Relief comes in the form of the boost. This is a two-person, semi-violent operation, so my assigned nurse must first cajole a colleague to join in. Then I am laid flat, itself a painful incision-stretching torture. Then these two strong-armed folks grab the working sheet beneath me from either side, and on the count of 3, I am brusquely, heave-hoed northward, and the bed rapidly re-angled to thwart another descent, which, nonetheless, begins immediately. No one on the floor is enthusiastic about the boost, save the patient, who, gasping, has repositioned his wounds for a few moments of relief. At one point in these proceedings, I became, to avoid the vernaculum vulgaris, bound up, very bound up. Oh dear, what to do, lamenteth the boundee. Mac pulled rank and decided on 1.5 liters of Go Lightly to be pumped through my J-tube. For 2 days I sat with nary a puff, despite incessantly obnoxious questioning. But I remembered a ditty my mother used to recite when I was a child. Shake and shake the ketchup bottle, none'll come and then a lot'll. Oh, how true, how true. Try to imagine the incommodious process of moving from the gully to the commode repeatedly all day and all night. And after each movement, a minced word, if there ever was, the chosen nurse or aide must step in to wipe me clean, whilst I bend over and humbly accept my medal from the Earl of Laxatavia. Blessed be all of you unblinking souls who soothed and pampered me with a capital P. Reductio ad infantum. Allow me a few brief kudos. God has been my unfailing sustenance for mind, body, and soul, and the calm of my distemper. I believe he is my greatest fan. Gabby is magnificent and courageous. She held the fort at home and me in her arms. Though her fear sometimes sought refuge behind a mask of anger, she reminded me every single day of our ordeal why I am passionately in love with her. Martine and Matthias, though they did not know it, were indispensable pillars of support. They are my heroes. Mac, I have asked you twice to save my life, and you have done so. I pray not a third. And I must pay homage to so many family, friends, colleagues, nurses, and all of you, my beloved residents, who were so constantly concerned about my well-being. Your thoughts, cards, and bedside visits were helium for my soul. You are the grace of life. At the last of my 9 bronchoscopies, my island of gastric mucosa was alive and well in my carina. It struck me that I may be perhaps the only non-moribund being on this planet with an island of gastric mucosa in his trachea. The Latin meaning of carina is keel, as in the keel of a boat. It aptly describes any place in the body where tissue forms a ridge. The trachea is the big carina, anchoring a vast branching of littler and littler carinas. In seafaring days of yore, the most dreaded punishment that could be meted out to an errant seaman was keel hauling. The unfortunate's arms were tied by a rope. He was thrown overboard and literally hauled beneath the length of the keel. Depending on the size of the ship